All right, now you've had your recollection refreshed, and I think the question was, I asked you if you had told the detective that there had been a hunger strike, your brother had been involved in a hunger strike. Having listened to that recording, do you remember what you told the detective?
I told him that there was, but then I cracked and told the full, everything.
So
that was the part that you missed.
So initially you lied?
Yes.
Okay,
I
and said there
apologize.
so as far as you're concerned, your brother had never been on a hunger strike?
No, never.
Not even when he first got there and his stepfather had the stroke, remember that?
I remember, and he was not.
He was not, okay. Do you remember telling the other detective that your brother could walk? And that he was never there was never anything major wrong with him?
I do not remember that, no, but
Okay. Did you remember telling the detective that your brother was looking around and didn't talk when he was in the tub?
no.
Oh, one of the things we talked about cold baths and ice baths. You showed the detective how much ice was in that those ice. Where did the ice come from?
The ice maker, there
How
wasn't a lot.
Now, you know it's on tape, right? You showed the officer how much was in that ice maker makes, right? Do you remember showing with your hands?
Not a specific amount, but I remember showing him.
Do you remember showing him? Well, it's on the tape. Would you like to see it?
No, sir.
Okay. My recollection is you showed the officer that he said, how much ice is in it? You did like this. You make this gesture where you put your hands together and to form like a pocket for about that much ice. Do you remember telling him that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Why did you tell? What was the original story you told the police as to why Timothy slept in that room? What did you all call it? The spare room? The closet?
The small room?
The small room. Do you remember the original story you told them?
That he wanted to be in there?
Okay. And you told them that, and didn't you also tell them that because Timothy was taking things apart, his bed was not safe to sleep on, and they weren't because he'd taken loose the bolts and screws?
Yes.
And you told him that as well, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. You told him that originally the small room had a mattress, but he ripped it, so we had to take it out of there. You remember telling him that?
Yes.
You remember telling him he would sneak out. He would move around the house, not just for food, but sneak out to the garage and other places in the house. Do you remember telling them that?
Yes.
He kept shredding the plastic covers, so we had to switch to tarp. Remember that?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about the hot sauce thing. Tell me about how was the hot sauce administered?
Either slathered on bread or administered directly orally.
Okay. And you would do those things, correct?
Under my mother's orders, yes.
Under your mother's orders. By the way, one of that pizza, remember that you testified that pizza, you gave him that pizza, that mini pizza or whatever?
Pizza roll.
Right, and pulled it back once he responded?
Yes.
Do you know that we were hearing a text where your mother told him to try it, and if he ate it, give him 2 of them? Do you remember that part of the text?
No.
And she never, do you know she didn't, according to your text, one of the texts between the 2 of you, as I recall it, she says, give him a pizza roll, see if he'll eat it, and if he does, you give him 2. You don't remember anything like that?
No.
Your recollection is if he tries it, snatch it back and don't give it to him?
Yes.
Was she in the room at that time?
No, she was at work.
She was at work. Dude, why not give him the pizza roll? Why snatch it back?
Because I was doing as I was told.
Okay, good. All right. And you mentioned today that you fed Tim a good meal.
Yes.
Okay. Why is it, it's not in the police reports, right?
No.
And it's not in the interview that you did, right? There's no mention of it in your interview with Detective Pieskey, is that correct?
Was there?
Yeah, I'm sure. There's no mention of it, correct? If you don't remember, that's fine.
I don't remember.
Okay. There was no mention of it at the preliminary examination when you were under oath, correct?
I don't believe I was asked.
Okay, good. But you certainly didn't mention it, correct?
No.
But you took that, there was an opportunity to sneak him some food, and you snuck him some food according to your testimony today, right?
Yes.
All right. You work at Applebee's, right?
Yes.
Do they make food at Applebee's?
Yes. Unfortunately, I can only get one free meal, and I don't always remember my credit card because I don't have it on me.
Okay, this is 6 months. Right?
Yeah.
And you're concerned about your brother, right?
Sympathy slid in and out.
Okay. But you worked at Applebee's, right?
Yes.
And unlike this meal that you're telling us about now, you never took anything from Applebee's and snuck it home to your brother, did you?
No.
And you're on a bike coming from Applebee's to your home in Norton Shores?
Yes.
You had to pass a Walgreens or a convenience store, a gas station or something, correct?
At 1 a.m, everything would be closed.
Gas stations wouldn't be closed, right?
The only one that I went by was the one at Meyer, and it was.
And you could stop. You went by the gas station at Meyer?
And it was closed.
Was the Meyer itself closed too?
I don't know. I never checked.
Yeah, it's a 24-hour store, correct?
I don't know.
Did you ever go into any place before work or after work to buy your brother a candy bar to bring him home and help him out?
No.
You kept saying during the text, you kept saying, young man, that you were under the impression that what Timothy was going through was an act. Do you remember that?
Because I was convinced by my mother.
Okay. You thought it was an act, correct?
Yes.
You thought he was faking it, correct?
Yes.
The seizures, you thought that was an act?
Yes.
The shaking, you thought that was an act?
Yes. I wasn't there when some of that occurred.
The trembling, that was an act? Did he cry when you had him crouched like that? When you had him do that back thing against the wall, did he cry?
Not cry. He complained.
Did he cry when you had him stand up for hours against the wall? Did he cry?
No. Not
Okay.
that I remember of.
You don't remember any crying, any complaining, do you?
No.
Okay. When you cuff him, did he cry?
No.
When did you said he would close? Well, it's been said. You haven't said. He would close the loop on those cuffs and make them tighter on his own wrists. Is that your recollection?
Yes.
You didn't do that, right?
No.
Did he cry when that happened?
He complained about it, and that was how I knew.
Okay. There were numbers of monitors in that house, right? Video
Yes.
monitors.
Yes.
But they weren't all for Timothy. Is that correct?
There was one that was in G's room
Okay.
because, according to Shanda, he had a tendency to remove all of his clothes and wander around in his room like that.
But that's when he was 2, right? He's older than that at this point, isn't he?
That was what I was told. It was what
Okay.
I believed.
But there's monitors in the entire house, correct?
Yes.
And what were you told was the purpose of the monitors?
Other than the one in G's room,
Mm-hmm.
she hadn't told the purpose. I just knew that she was monitoring Timothy.
Okay. Let's switch up a little bit, talk about something else. Tell me about your mom a little bit. What do you know about her? How far has she gone in school?
She's graduated from law school, second in her class.
Yeah. Were you impressed by that?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's worked. Did you know she was the judge's clerk?
That's what it was called.
Okay. That's what it was?
Yeah.
Both
I was
here
trying to figure out what the name was.
That's fine. Both here and in Nuevo?
Yeah.
Okay. And was she doing other things professionally? Was she studying or anything say, during May to July, or February to July 2022? Was she studying or writing books or?
No.
Okay.
There were
All right.
times when she'd do law school through service dog's eyes for her YouTube channel.
Okay. Do you know she was tutoring other law students?
No.
Okay. During that time, was this Adam Ferguson?
Vander Ark.
Vander Ark, I'm sorry, Vander Ark, I should have figured that out, right? Adam Vander Ark, her husband, had a stroke, is that correct?
In January, yes.
Was he working prior to that?
Yes.
Okay. And you're also aware, so he's not working once he has a stroke, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So who's providing for the family as far as you know?
Me and her.
You and her. Cool. So you're working.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so the two of you are providing for that household, correct?
Yes.
And in a house, how old are you now?
21.
And you were 19 back then? Sort of close, somewhere around there?
Somewhere around there,
Okay,
yes.
cool. All right. So she's providing the household with your assistance.
Yes.
She has 2 children younger than you to provide
Yes.
for. Yes?
Yes.
She's homeschooling G as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you have 2 kids at home being homeschooled,
Yes.
correct? She has her own issues, correct?
I don't know.
In terms of not being able to sleep, that sort of thing? Insomnia, did you know about that?
No.
She didn't share that with you?
No.
There was
I
a
know
lot.
She was she's hypoglycemic.
Okay. All right. All right. So there's a lot going on with her at this point in her life, isn't there?
Yes.
And you're not just babysitting, she's relying upon you to watch the kids, is that correct? When she's at work, you watch the kids. When you're at work, she watches the kid, correct?
I suppose you could think of it like that.
Even with the video monitor, she depends upon you to watch the 2 younger ones, correct?
Yes.
And in that circumstance, she would come to rely on, not everything can be seen on a camera, correct?
Yes.
So she would rely on information that you provide for her in addition to whatever she can see on the camera, is that correct?
Yes.
And she would be also at work, right?
Yes.
Working for a judge, right?
Yes.
So presumably kind of busy, right?
Yes.
Assume? Okay. Did you ever bring work home that you know of?
Not that I remember of, no.
Okay.
She'd tell me some of what went on in court at times.
Okay. And there were pets?
Yes.
Okay. These are big dogs, right?
Yes.
What type of dogs were they?
When how do I put this? By the time all of this transpired, we only had Sharma and Piper, but Piper was living with my step-grandparents.
Yeah, but these are, what are they, Great Danes or Greyhounds?
Great Dane and Sharma, or Piper was in Newfoundland.
Okay. All right. Okay. We saw, I'll strike that, that's not relevant. Okay. Let's go back to the interview with Detective Pieskey, if we would. Do you remember telling Detective Pieskey we weren't neglecting him, and even if we were, it wasn't intentional?
Somewhat.
You remember that?
Yes.
That's true, isn't it?
I'm sorry?
That's true, isn't it? It wasn't intentional, was it?
Not on my part.
No. No. You're putting this young man in the shower, right? Correct?
Yes.
And you gave him 3 showers, right? That you can remember? 3 baths?
Yes.
Okay. So you know what his body looked like at that time, correct?
Yes.
And this happened, well, the one was what, 3 weeks before he passed away? The one in June with that picture that you took where he was standing there and you took a picture of him with his shirt off and then pulled up his pant legs? That happened about, what, a month before he died?
Give or take.
Okay. And you told Detective Pieskey we weren't neglecting him, and even if we were, it wasn't intentional. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. You told Detective Pieskey that she, meaning your mother, didn't want this. We loved him so much. Correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay. You mentioned one time he refused to eat.
No, he did not.
Okay. Did you say it though?
Yes.
Okay. So you lied. Detective Pieskey, do you remember the point in that interview? It was about, 3/4 through. And Detective Pieskey starts to explain to you, this isn't love. Do you remember him saying, this isn't love, this is,
I remember. Yes.
yeah, used words like disgusting and, okay, that sort of thing. Remember that?
Yes.
Why does he have to tell you that? Did you not know that?
He shouldn't have had to.
No, he shouldn't have had to. But before he died, when your brother passed away, did you expect that? Or were you surprised?
I was surprised, shocked,
Okay.
horrified.
How about your mom when she was in that room? We have that on video a little bit. Do you remember how she responded to that?
Let's see, trying to cover it up.
Do you remember her crying?
Crying? No.
If it's on the video, would that be accurate though? If there's video of her crying, would you deny that's what she's doing?
No.
But you just didn't see it, right? Do you remember how frantic she was? She called you down there to come quick. She was frantic at the time. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. You told the Detective Pieskey that your brother Tim would force himself to throw up. Do you remember saying that?
Yes.
You remember telling the Detective Pieskey, if I could take his place right now, if I could give him his life back, I'd do it. I'd do it in a dadgum heartbeat. Do you remember saying that?
I stand by it.
Yes, sir. You never intended your brother to die, did you?
No.
And you came to the conclusion that your mother intended it after, right? Not while he was alive.
Yes.
You thought your mother was a good mom, didn't you? You told Detective Pieskey that, didn't you?
Yes. As
And
well
you-
as the fact that I haven't had it diagnosed and I don't know how to explain it.
That's fine. Do
But I'd say it's something similar to Stockholm Syndrome.
Okay.
I have a desire to find a role model that, due to my own low self-esteem, I would do anything to make proud of me.
Okay.
And that's not an excuse, I know, but I feel like I'm glad that I was at least able to realize it so I can correct it.
While he was alive, in one of the texts, your mother asked you, should we be worried? Should we be worried about him? Is he okay? And you say no. Do you remember that?
No.
That he's okay?
No, I
In the
don't.
text it says. If the text were to say so, do you have any problem with? You've seen the text. You helped write them, correct?
Yes.
So if it's in the text and we saw in the text, as far as you know, nothing's been changed in those texts, correct?
Yes.
So if we can point out in the text where you say that, you're not disagreeing with that, correct?
No.
Do you remember the time when you asked her, we should be feeding him, he's too thin? And she says, give him a little something, and then you just keep going on after that, back to the old routine? You remember that? You remember
If it's
after
in
you,
the text, it's likely true.
you sent him that text with his shirt off and his pants leg pulled up. And you say, Mom, we need to feed this guy. Something to that effect, right?
Yes.
And she says, okay, give him something. She gives, I forget what it was.
Bread.
Okay,
Just bread.
okay. And then after that, did anything change?
No.
Okay.
Because I was too afraid to put my foot down.
You're too afraid? A minute ago, you just wanted her to be followed.
There's
Now you're
various
afraid?
reasons. And I'm not trying to excuse my own actions.
Well, yes, you are. I disagree. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Do you have a cell phone?
Yes.
what happens when you have your cell phone and you press 911?
You're connected to the
There you
cops.
go. Did you know that when you were 19?
Yes,
Did you know what Child Protective Services were when you're 19?
more or less.
The one thing, when we just listened to almost an hour and a half of tapes, of transcripts from your text messages, you did say no to her when she asked you to put hot sauce on his penis.
Yes.
Oh. But you didn't, okay. You weren't scared? You weren't scared to refuse her?
Not at that point.
And I don't recall, I sat here and I listened, I don't recall any other point where you told her no to anything she asked you to do. Do you remember any other point where you text, where we can show it in the text, where I told her, no, I'm not gonna do that, Mom?
No.
From the standing in the corner, to the hands on the head, to the hot sauce, to the shackles. Did you put, was his leg shackled? We found this metal shackle, the chain, leg shackle. Were you familiar with those?
A little bit.
Did you put those on him?
When I was directed to.
When you were directed to, how many times were you directed to?
Quite a few.
Would you be surprised to know that there is no text where you even discuss the leg shackles, much less putting them on him? Would you be surprised by that?
Very.
Do you remember, let's see. Did you remember saying, oh, wait a minute. Do you remember telling the detective that you were concerned?
Yes.
Okay. Is there, as you sit there right now, do you love Timothy?
I suppose I didn't love him enough.
No, that's
It's
not
why
right.
I'm trying to bring justice for him.
Just a moment, I don't know.
But can I say that I loved him during the time
You loved
before
him?
his death?
Yes. Did you love him before his death?
With all the ways I acted, I cannot.
Okay. Let
Unfortunately.
me ask you this. When did you start feeling this way? While he was alive or after you found out that the way he was being treated killed him?
After?
So while the time he was alive, did you think you were killing him?
No.
You told Detective Peiske that we didn't want this. We loved him so much.
That was what I thought, but it's not true.
Let me ask you this. If you knew Timothy was in trouble, say the house was on fire, hypothetically, would you help him?
Yes?
So is it fair to say that the reason you didn't help him is because you didn't know he was in trouble?
No?
You knew he was in trouble. Now, I'm not talking about now, I'm talking about then, when you were living through this. You just said you didn't know you were killing him. So did you know you were killing him or not?
No?
So how could you save somebody you didn't know was in trouble?
You can't?
Okay. One moment, please, young man. You mentioned you think it was 18 minutes, about 18 minutes before you called the police when you found Timothy. Is that correct?
Yes.
Why did you think it was 18 minutes? Somebody tell you that? I mean, and I'm just saying, usually people say, they say 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, but 18 is kind of specific and kind of exact. What made you think it was 18 minutes?
What I was told.
Okay. All right. That's all we're asking for is the truth. Okay. That's all we're asking you. Thank you. I have no further questions.